Okay, so I wanted to make a quick video and talk about some general concepts for rhythm guitar. And it's not an exhaustive video by any means, but I wanted to break down some little pieces of some things that I do. I'm going to use a song of mine called You Know Me to demonstrate some of these things. And hopefully, these are useful if you're someone who's still kind of early in your journey, new to the game, and absorbing the tools of the trade. Hopefully this can give you something to think about, something to incorporate into your own approach, to appropriate and turn into what you need it to be. So without further ado, let me play a short excerpt of a few different concepts here, and then let's break some things down. So I'll say by way of introduction that in my opinion, all musicians have a responsibility to understand rhythm and to be as strong rhythmically as they can be, and to contribute to not be an anchor dragging on the groove, and to not be a racehorse rushing ahead of the groove. That's obviously not always the case, but you as a rhythm guitarist, it's right there in the title, it's right there in the job description. So you need to be capable of carrying the groove by yourself if the need arises. That certainly happens. So imagine an acoustic performance where it's just guitar and voice, and maybe you're the singer, maybe you're not, but that guitar is where the groove is, and so you need to be someone who is strong in manifesting the groove. So you always want to be thinking about that, and then you always want to be thinking about how you fit in with the other instruments, the bass, the drums, the rhythm section, to make the complete picture of where the rhythm's at. So with that in mind, one of the first things that I think, if you're not already doing this, is that you should adopt a form of flow in your picking or strumming. Your strumming, really. So even though I don't use a pick, you could do this with a pick. The same as the down up here for me is just I'm striking down with my with these fingers and then up with my thumb. So what you want to do here is get a flow of 16ths going for your right hand. So it's so if this song is fairly slow, but so you'll notice I'm also doing something else there, and don't have to. Could be just going across the entire breadth of all 6 strings. Could be going. But even when I do that, you can hear it sounds heavy-handed, literally, and it doesn't really sound like it's saying anything, like it's not really communicating a groove. But you'll notice that structurally, in the first example, I'm doing something sort of by default that mimics or mirrors the basic low and high structure of a drum set part. That beat 1 is where it's sort of dominated by the downbeat, the bass drum. Boom, tick, boom, chick, boom, chick. We have this low to high. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm doing that here too. I'm letting 1 be where likely the root of the chord is going to be a little more in emphasis, and 2 be where I'm a little more likely to have the upper voice of the chord ring out. And if we're just paying attention to this flow I'm creating, it's like this. element of how I'm letting this come out here in my right hand is that I keep my right hand pretty close to the bridge, so that with just a very slight adjustment, I can drop in a palm mute, either full or partial palm mute, without really affecting the rest of my my hand's motion. So again, here would be with like no palm mute. And here's with the mute. So something that springs to mind, which is like a producer's note that I often give to people when I'm involved in whatever tiny amount of music production I do, is the issue of like the barely contained, the issue of containment. That there's a lot of excitement in something being restrained. That, you know, it's something that's about to bubble over, or something that's about to burst forth. We can feel that. And so palm muting is a way that you as a rhythm guitarist can kind of tame the beast and let this groove have this tension of an imminent release. And so that's again the difference between playing like this, where it's all out there, and I can play it louder, but you don't sense I'm about to. It's like, okay, well, that was a little weird surprise. But if I play it with that little bit of palm mute, you feel and you sense that there's something more that's being held back. And so by implication, you sense that this barely contained energy, that there's something that's about to happen, that there's about to be a crescendo. And so when you do let that up and you do let some of it shine through, it's kind of the expected release of that. So again, so if I let it shine through a little bit like that, and then if I have like a little crescendo, I set it up so that now if it comes in a little louder, it's like you kind of knew it was coming, and when it did, it was satisfying. So that's one whole concept there, is this idea of barely containing something. And I would also add to that you may feel it or you may not, that's an element of how I want to sit in that groove too. Like the placement of my flow, I want to also incorporate some of that barely contained. So you want to think of it as like to a drummer, I would say, you want to play heavy. Like you want, which doesn't mean that you play loud, but it means that you play just a little bit behind, like you are straining to make it exactly to the beat, and you're just a hair behind. So you think of it as like you're being pulled back as you do this to play heavy on this. I mean, it's very in time. It's not dragging. But you can just feel like that. That placement of the heavy 2 and 4 is just a little bit behind, and that feels good. That feels in the pocket to do that. The use of fret noise is another thing that, as a rhythm guitarist, you want to make artful use of the purely percussive nature of the instrument. Like if I didn't have any tone going here and I was either that's where we're talking about muting over here with your left hand to cover up. you'll note that you may not be able to see this, but like I am just relaxing my left hand and letting it drop in and cover so that I can have a high snare-like strike or a hi-hat, similar to a hi-hat or a snare, those kind of sibilant sounds. And you get that stuff for free. When you talk about the conflict between guitar and voice, you get fret noise and like these high sibilant values for free. So you can make them be loud. They're not in conflict with what the vocal needs to carry through. You can have this go. And again, with that, rule of thumb here as far as like what feels good, what feels right, hey, really lean into 2 and 4. You don't need to play a heavy 1 as much. You don't need to go boom, boom. You can, but if there's only one thing that you're going to emphasize, especially as the guitar player, emphasize that 2 and 4. Give it just a little extra oomph. Okay, so I'm going to talk real quick about sort of ducking. I've talked about this from like a singer's perspective, but this is knowing that you're in conflict with the voice, that you as the rhythm guitar, you occupy the same sonic space as the voice, and knowing that, hey, in the orchestration of this song, whoever's singing, whether it's you or, the singer in your band, you want to defer to they are the most important element in this song. So it's not like no one is here to hear this amazing rhythm guitar part. You just want the guitar. You do want it to be an amazing part. You want to be a deft, subtle player who adds to the entire effect. But one of the things you want to do is tailor your part to defer and give a little extra space to the voice when you're in conflict. So you want to play a little stronger in the spaces where the voice is not singing, and you want to play just a little bit back in the mix, a little bit down in the mix when the voice needs to shine through. So that would be kind of like this. So like in this part, there's a motif I have in this song that when I'm playing it in the intro, I'll play it strong and clear on the rhythm guitar, and then I'll palm mute it when the voice comes in like this. I've a secret to do. No one knows what I've been through. You can sense that I concealed something you want revealed. And by bringing it back, what that gives me as a singer the power to do is to do something where I can have a moment where I'm not having to do maximum projection, where I can go, something you want revealed, and I can have that be a little breathy, have that be a little bit, in the same sense that I can have a chance as the singer to be barely restrained, to have something that's being held back, that's waiting to burst forth. So giving me that space makes the whole song sound better and makes it more interesting and more engaging for the listener who's trying to like lock into how they feel about it, what we're saying, how they feel about what we're saying. All of that, it gets involved in the whole experience. So let me talk about just a couple other things real quick. I know this is already very long, but hopefully it's useful. So if I were playing along in this song, again, from like where the vocal comes in, I might be going with this. So let me show you what the vocal is doing now. shadows of the past don't need to be recast. So again, from an orchestration standpoint, what I did as a rhythm guitarist is I took advantage of a pause in the vocal to, again, have a really strong expression of the new chord. We've been sitting on one chord for a while, but the new chord is now low, low, high, low, low, high. So really let it ring out, let my flow take a break, and have the vocal take over for a minute. But you'll note that I sit here and I still pulse in my arm, still feel it. You want to be kinesthetic with time. You want to, move your body, whether that's feeling time in your sort of in your spine, or you're tapping your foot, or you're moving, your actual instrument hand just a little bit to keep that pulse, in you, and to keep it solid and unmistakable in you. You want to do those little subtle things. So like that choice right there is to, to create this moment of we're really doing something big, like a boom, boom, pa, big crash, a long roll off, a long decay, a boom, boom, pa, and repetition or variation, theme and variation, repetition of ideas where people get it and people hear it coming the second time around. That's always it's a strong element of typical textbook orchestration. So take advantage of those things, rewrite the rules as you see fit, but take advantage of these concepts as well. So I'll give you, I guess, one other, a different look at how to handle a chord break here. So I'd be going, the shadows of the past don't need to be recast. So bright and clear, because love me, show me kindness, and trust who I am. Curiosity's not blindness. When you have, a strong figure like this, just always, spend enough time to get your flow even and consistent such that when you do that, it just sounds perfect, that it's perfectly aligned. All right, so there's millions of things that you can learn as a rhythm guitarist to improve yourself. Hopefully what I just did was give you some food for thought. I know it's real specific to my song, but it also, I think, is generalizable. Certainly I have that same kind of thought process all the time, in real time, whenever I'm playing, that I want to be strong and rhythmic, that I want to support the vocal, and that I want to, be completely capable, self-sufficient of expressing the groove from my part, but yet also able to eliminate elements or de-emphasize elements to allow others to shine. If I had a bass player with me, I don't need to do this whole, I don't need to hit this. I'll let the bass player hit that strong thing. I'll still hit it, but I don't need it to be, it's not going to stand out. They're going to be the ones who really make that low end sing. And so let them have their role, let me have mine. We're still locked in, we're still in concert with each other, but just recognize where you fit in the instrumentation, in the orchestration, and where you can lend support and where you need to lead the way, where you're the beacon. Okay, so hopefully that was useful, and until next time.